going to get an update soon. So our mailing list will be, right now it's a pretty vanilla sign up page, but we're going to take the extra step and add some branding. And then once that's done, that's through MailChimp, then we're going to be starting more of an active campaign to recruit users for the user group. But we'll be doing this independently of Meetup. So Meetup will just be one sort of channel where, where we're posting the meetings and folks can sign up, etc. The goal is that the long-term vision is we'll have a portal for the user group, and once people sign up, then they'll have access, and they can have access to all of the prior meeting content and recordings. So we've been recording our meetings on a regular basis. So again, just a little bit more on our mission. Again, it's a membership community. The goal is to meet once a week and keep it short and sweet, 30 minutes, and just talk about interesting healthcare technology stuff. There's no, the goal is to keep it community based and, not be driving commercial initiatives or anything like this. And so as we mentioned quickly when we started the meeting, the topic for today is gamification in healthcare. And I think for me, the reason why this topic came up is gamification, it's been a buzzword for a few years now, and folks have done a lot with it in various spaces and various industry. I think that for me, the closest I came to a gamification project was this past winter. We were working on a Skilling at Scale initiative across Africa to bring folks up to speed on low-code technology. And so one of the ways that we did this is through gamification. So we created a mission-based game that folks they would actually go on missions, and missions could be complex, like go attend a user group, or they could be quite simple, like, answering or taking a quiz. And then what would happen is when they finished these missions, they would accumulate points, and then they could use those points towards raffle tickets that would be for prizes. So so we had like a couple surfaces and some electronic devices, some education prizes for classes and stuff like that. And so it actually went very well, and we reached a broad audience across the continent of Africa. I don't know the exact numbers, but especially given the time, last winter was, and still today continues to be a little bit awkward for online events, and figuring out audience participation. But we actually had a very respectable group that ended up participating. And so it occurred, then what happened is, then about 3 months later, I started working on this community effort, the Boston Healthcare user group, healthcare technology user group. And one of the things that occurred to me is that there might be a unique opportunity to get young folks involved in healthcare technology and health science through community. And so that led me to the Discord platform. And so Discord, for those that are not aware, it's a platform that's been around for a number of years right now. It started as its focus was on gaming and video games. And so the idea was, if somebody came out with a video game, they would create a Discord server, and then all the users for that video game, they could go to the Discord server and they could chat about the game, and they could, share secrets and tips, etc. And from there, it just took off, just like the game industry did right over the past years. And so Discord, like many platforms, has evolved so that now there's more communities on Discord than just healthcare. It does seem to still be a little bit niche. One of the interesting things that they added recently was the ability to, they added voice to channels. So now you can go to a Discord server, you can go to your game channel, and if you want to, you can just go ahead and start speaking. You don't have to type. So it's very similar to what Clubhouse did. And so this intrigued me, and so I started my thought was, okay, well, why don't we add, what if we added the same gamification stuff we used in Africa, combined it with Discord to try to get some folks interested in healthcare technology and health science. So that's sort of what led me down this path of gamification recently. Somebody might have to go on mute. Let's see. Okay, I don't know why it's echoing all of a sudden. Okay, that's better. So then, so that's sort of how I got here. And then, so just quickly, you know, why gamification in general? Some thoughts around this are it helps minimize distraction and can maximize adults driving results, and drive engagement. And that's sort of like the business answer. But if we were to actually dive into it a little bit further, you know, I think it's interesting to note that games can tell a story, and I actually have a couple examples that I'll show here, and I do think that, you know, when we're looking at gamification, especially gamification in healthcare, there, just like every technology, there's specific use cases where it seems to make a lot of sense and might do very well, and then, you know, there are others where it doesn't, and I think that's part of the key to our job, right, and our successes is we have to figure out what technologies work best to solve what problems. And so, you know, training on soft skills is a great candidate for gamification. Another reason why gamification seems to be catching on a little bit in healthcare is that it seems that healthcare providers in general are pretty competitive. And so games seem to work pretty well. It also makes training available anytime, right? A lot of these folks have busy schedules, they're in a pinch for time. And so by making gamification available and making it available, for example, at 24/7, can help increase the engagement of the learners. And of course, we can do this, just the nature of games provides this as well, right? This natural sort of competition that happens when we start playing a game. And then the nice thing about games is it's also safe, right? So that when you're playing a game, we tend to feel like we're in a safe environment, and then it's okay to make mistakes. And so those are just some general reasons why, you know, gamification has probably had some success, most likely had some success in healthcare. So if we look at some examples, you know, what I did is I created a couple of categories and then gave examples under each category. So the first one I came up with was physical fitness. And I think the other reason why this came top of mind this week, so I'd already been working in the background on this community project, again, for, you know, community driven. It's not something that we're doing for commercial reasons. The idea is we just want to get more, you know, kids involved in healthcare technology at an early age. And then what happened also, you know, I forgot to mention, as I ended up I had to get a new Garmin watch this week because I lost my Garmin watch last week when I was traveling. And I hadn't updated the technology in about 5 years. My watch was about 5 years old. And when I ordered this new one, gosh, I already forgot the name of it, so I can't give it a free commercial, but it's a Garmin watch. And the key thing is, though, is that it's just amazing how sophisticated the health tracking on the watch has become, and how it enables gamification at a personal level just through the apps, right? I mean, now with this watch, it's tracking everything from, you know, my heart rate to my SpO2 level, intensity, stress, hydration, you know, all right here on my wrist. And I found myself absolutely in the past week, I've been engaging more with my watch and my exercise and drinking water. And so that sort of not only brought gaming and gamification to the forefront of my mind this week, but more specifically, you know, physical fitness as well, right? And so great example of, another great example, I think Garmin, you know, is a great one as well, with the gamification piece. But another company that's doing this is Cafe Well. And so Cafe Well has the same concept of sort of like the Garmin Connect, where you have a one-stop place where you can come in and try to increase your, you know, your overall well-being. And they do this through gamification. So they have, you know, the ability to track your progress and to work with coaches and to invite friends that you can compete with, when you're in this effort to to be healthy. And so this is Cafe Well, and the URL is here, and also all these URLs are in the
That's really cool. Huh.
PowerPoint slide as well. Yeah, it's a neat site and a neat example. And then the next examples I have are actually around, to your point, Cheryl, what you were talking about, the medication and also pain management tracking.
Oh my God. That is the company that we partnered with.
Well, there you go.
That's awesome.
Well, they're still doing well.
So they're still around. Yeah.
Yeah. They seem like they've done, like they're doing okay. I mean, in all fairness, I've only did some surface research just for this presentation. I'm not working on a project or anything. So but to me, it seems like, based on just a little bit of research I did, they have a great offering, and they're still very active in this space. And so their focus again is on patient engagement and doing this and the tracking of the medicines, right? And they're doing this through gamification. I think they've got a little screenshot here that you can look at as well. And so again, Mango Health. So then this one I thought was interesting as well, just because of the focus on children. And so this was, and I guess I shouldn't say children, because a lot of people play a lot of adults play Nintendo DS as well. But what they did here is they've actually created, a blood glucose meter that can plug directly into the Nintendo DS. And so from the site, they've got a PDF that you can download here. And so I thought this was interesting because of the actual integration, with the Nintendo DS, which is where, as we know, a lot of children, a lot of kids spend time, right? So yeah, I like that because of the link to the video game and because of the children. And then, so if we look at gamification for kids, I thought this was a really great example. This is called Monster Guard, and this was put together by the American Red Cross. And essentially what this app does is it helps prepare children for emergencies. And so it does this through gamification. So you can download the app with your child. And then what you can do is through gamification, they'll go through, mission style gamification, and you'll learn how to protect the home from emergencies, but also practice what to do, should an emergency come up. And then, of course, they build on the gamification concept, right? They do this through social networking, so you can share with friends, and then you can there's levels and scores, etc. And so you can see the scenarios that they cover include things like earthquakes, floods, home fires, hurricanes, thunderstorms, etc., tsunamis, even winter weather. And so again, targeted towards younger children. There's it's interesting that they have supplementary content up here as well, and then the game that you can download. And then they've even created characters, right, that represent the various emergencies. And so again, this is through the Red Cross. It's got some good reviews, and it's actually the app itself is called Monster Garden.
That's really cool. You know what? A few years ago, I made a software with a friend, similar like to help children to identify like danger, or at least know what to do in an emergency case. And so we built the software with the Internet of Things, and using these beacons, which are like kind of sensors that you put in certain places, like for example, close to well, like emergency places, or so they could download the app, and the mobile can receive notifications once they're closed. So it was really cool. I would like to compare this game with this, actually.
Yeah, that's interesting. I've wondered, you know, as I'm learning more about gamification, one of the things I've wondered, I've been curious about are the apps. For example, when you're doing a tour, and you know, you could download the app with the tour. And now that you're talking about these beacons, I'm guessing they use a similar technology, you know, these beacons, and that would make sense. So then if I'm taking a tour of, you know, Boston, for example, when I get close to, you know, the Freedom Trail or a certain spot on the Freedom Trail, there's probably a beacon
like
there.
the map and download. And
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah.
Cool. So that's interesting. And then the other one I really liked, and I guess this helps balance out because I talked about Garmin already, but there's also this VivoFit, you know, for children. So this is targeted. This is a VivoFit Junior targeted towards, you know, towards young folks. And so the idea here is, you know, it's very similar to Fitbit, right? So we were tracking fitness and exercise, and then also some useful stuff for parents as well, where parents can actually look to see how active the children have been as well. Oh, this is interesting. I didn't see this earlier. So they baked in like chores as well. So I'm so glad we didn't have this when I was younger. I would have not done well with this game. And then
if it works.
Yeah. And then extra credit for sweat. So it looks like they continue to build it out. So that I found that one to be interesting. And then this area is rich for gamification as well, you know, physical therapy and rehabilitation. So an example I found here that intrigued me was this company called Mindmaze. And what they're doing is they're actually building a platform for brain health and recovery from things like stroke, for example. So for patients that have a stroke, one of the things that they have to do during their physical therapy is they actually have to go through this process of retraining certain parts of their brain so that they can, in some cases, just perform everyday tasks, right? And so this is an area that these folks specifically focus on. It looks like they have some great modules beyond the brain stuff as well, but this is their primary focus. And it looks like they've been very successful with this. I was actually reading some of their case studies earlier, and they have some great information about what they've done and how they're building the games to help restore motor functions and cognitive, as well as cardiovascular as well. And, you know, speaking of cardiovascular, that's, you know, another great example of gamification in health and healthcare is this app I just started using a couple of weeks ago called Couch to 5K. And so essentially the app, very much like this app, is focused on physical therapy. This one is focused on getting folks from, you know, being essentially, you know, sedentary during the day to being able to run a 5K. And so the way this works is you have a personal fitness trainer. It's a you know, cartoon character on the app, and then the app 3 times a week, you know, you end up going on these walk runs, and it talks to you, your personal trainer. And then there's a gamification piece in that there's a social network, and you can share that. And so I was thinking of this as we were talking about the cardiovascular component to the Mindmaze platform, because that's my goal, is to increase my cardiovascular. And so, you know, one of the ways I've chosen to do this is with the gamification app. Mm-hmm. So that just came to mind when I was talking about the rehab. I had actually forgot, you know, in my own personal life, that's two different ways that I'm using health gamification just in the last few weeks, right? Between the Garmin watch and the Couch to 4K program, or Couch to 5K program.
Couch.
Yeah. And then, so now I wanted to just talk a little bit about the, so the platforms themselves. And so I'm going to bounce around a little bit. I'm actually not going to go through these in order. I apologize for that, but I'm going to start with Centrical. And the reason why I'm starting with Centrical is because this is the one I'm most familiar with. This is the platform that we used for the project across Africa for skilling at scale. And essentially the way this platform works is they provide the ability to set up these gamification scenarios and missions, if you will. And you know, it's interesting, Diana, if you look at this, you can almost see the Microsoft Learn site behind it. You know, I'm wondering if Microsoft is actually using this platform for Microsoft Learn. So for other folks on the call, Mike, but very much like IBM has theirs and Google has theirs. I noticed actually IBM has a great learning site for healthcare that I think they're one of the best at that. But Microsoft has this Learn, they call it their Learn platform, which is not just dedicated to healthcare. It's basically to learn any of their products. And the idea is you can get people ready for certification testing, but you can also train clients. You know, clients use this site as well. It's a public facing site. And you go through and you complete the training. And then when you do, you can get some points, and there's a little bit of competitiveness to it if you choose to play that way. And the only reason why I'm explaining this is because in my research today, when I came across this platform, and I also know that Microsoft does use this platform for other things. I don't know for sure that they use it for Learn, but it definitely looks a lot like Microsoft Learn. Like when I'm looking at the platform and the way that it can be set up with, you know, with the missions and points, etc. And so the idea is that, you know, you go through these, the way that we used it actually in our upskilling for the Power Platform in Africa was through creating missions that the students would do, and then when they completed the missions, they would get points for a raffle ticket. And that's what I'm hoping that we can do with our Discord group. The goal is that we want to embed these gamification missions into Discord, so that the millions of folks that are out there, you know, playing video games and getting involved in you know, other communities. For example, there's a large crypto community that's forming on Discord now, that those folks might be swayed into playing some of our gamification missions. And, you know, out of the millions of users, right, if we can even get a few percentage of them into the server to play the game, you're talking about tens and tens of thousands of users. If we can get a point of those to actually get interested in health science or STEM, you know, then you're literally talking about impacting thousands of young people at a time, right? And the great thing is it's 24/7, so you can just make it better and better. And also do things like, you know, if we were to look at another platform, Zindi in Africa, what they do that's interesting is they actually bring artificial intelligence to the gaming platform as well. And so, you know, when we start to use machine learning, I should be more specific, they're bringing machine learning to the table with gamification. And what's interesting about bringing machine learning to gamification, and what I would hope to do in Discord, is that you can actually learn as the folks are playing the games, right? So we could potentially adapt our missions based on how the young folks in Discord are, you know, responding to our health and health science and STEM-based missions. And so that to me is intriguing. And again, the platform is Zindi. So we have 3 minutes left, so I'm just going to speed this up a little bit. One company I was very impressed with that seems to be doing very well in the gamification and healthcare space is the Game Agency. So the Game Agency does gaming across industry, but they actually focus on healthcare, and they have some really great examples of of, you know, what that might look like. And so one example is this Dr. Ned game that they've created. And essentially what this does is it teaches doctors about patients with COPD. And so this I thought was just a really great sort of way to tie these concepts together and talk about gamification healthcare. So again, the company is the Game Agency, and the game is Dr. Ned. And you can actually, you know, if you go up there, they also have a case study that talks about this in a video, and those links are in the PowerPoint slide. So just a couple of quick notes. So that's it for gamification. Again, these are just short, sweet meetings to talk about the technology. We can always follow up together through email or through separate discussions. And then I do want to mention just 2 events that are coming up. There's HIMSS 21, which is going to be in person in Las Vegas this year. So they are going back to, well, they're doing a hybrid model where it's in person and remote, but that will be August 9th through the 13th. And so we're hoping to be there. We're working out those details now. And then also, I thought this was worth noting as well. This is a partnership between the American Hospital Association and Microsoft. It's the name, it's a little bit marketish, and so forgive me, but you know, and more on the AHA side, I think. It's really just like an hour-long discussion where they're talking about AI in healthcare, but they do mention some really great resources. And I thought it was at least worth noting, you know, the partnership. And I'm not sure, but I may have seen a link to some deeper training, but don't hold me to that. I think it was on the American Hospital Association side. And so those were our 2 big announcements for this week. Again, we have our mailing list URL is here, and our Discord server URL, that's discord/healthcare. That's where our focus is to build this gamification community for young folks and to get them involved in healthcare and STEM. And so if that's something you're interested in participating, please let me know. Again, there's not a commercial aspect to it at this time. You know, our goal is really just to build a community and see if we can be successful with it. We've already proven gamification works. We've proven that we can implement it and skill at scale. We did that last you know, winter in Africa. We know that Discord works for communities around gamifications. So I think if you use first principles first, you know, design here, I don't see any reason why this wouldn't work. So, you know, as these meetings continue, please feel free to support, you know, our efforts there on the Discord server. And so with that said, it is, I think we're at our time. And so with that, I'll end the meeting. Maybe Diana, you can stop the recording, and then I'm happy to take any questions if anybody has follow-up.
I will. All right, thank you.
Good. What do you think?